Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today, and I'm sharing with you my latest crafting at a distance challenge. This is actually Khristina's challenge, Long Distance Love, and the challenge here is to scrapbook a virtual friendship. That is the layout I created. I am trying to use up my stash, and so what I'm showing you is I have a brand new piece of paper. That's that Pebbles from Jen Hadfield Hey You collection that I bought for the flowers, and I have picked out from my stash, my scraps, colors that coordinate with that. And what I'm doing is I've pre-done some of this, but I am using that American Crafts Punch notebook paper punch, and I am going to punch out the border, and I'm going to create a border on my background paper, and those colors coordinate with the brand new. So I'm trying to freshen up my old stash. I pulled this piece of paper because it has the states on it, and I thought that maybe I could incorporate that somehow, maybe do cut out the states, but you will see I completely forget about that piece of paper for one thing, but two, I find a alternative solution. So I've pre-cut a bunch of these, and now I'm going to choose either a black piece of pattern paper or a white piece, and I think I'm going to go with the white. That is a free subscriber cut file from Cut to You, and I will try and link you up to that, although it is a newsletter cut file, so I don't know if I'll be able to do that. And now I'm going to speed through fussy cutting through some of these flowers from this Jen Hadfield. So you can see the color palette that I chose. So I'm going to overlay that and then put these two square photos, one of myself and one of my friend Camille. Camille lives in New Hampshire, and I met her through scrapbooking. We have never met in person. We have tried. Her daughter goes to school in the same state as I live in, and we were trying to figure out, we've tried on several occasions, but where her daughter goes to school is, I'd say, an hour and a half away, which isn't far, but between swim meets and all of that fun stuff, it is hard to, we haven't succeeded in doing that, but I know we will, because there's just something about Camille that we've connected, and she responds to my YouTube videos and other things that I post, and it just, I don't know, the conversation drops off because we've finished talking about what it is that we're talking about, but as soon as I post another video, another conversation comes back up, and it's cool, it's neat, and I know that we could just sit and have a cup of coffee and scrapbook, and everything would be okay. So you can see I originally thought that I would make a frame around that floral center, but I scrapped that idea because it was just way too busy. This is a very busy border as it is, and I love the colors, and I love the idea of all the different layers. This reminds me a little bit of a layout that I did where I used scraps for Cocoa Daisy that went all the way around to the border and framed the layout, but this is still scraps, but these are, they're a little bit wider, and I do have a fairly large focal point in the middle of the layout, and so doing it the way I have is what ends up working best for this layout. You can see I have a mix of colors here, and just as the flowers come in different depths of the same hue, so you have the dark teal and the light teal, and you have the dark pink and the light pink, and then you have that pop of red and a little bit of orange scattered in there. I tried to do the same thing with these papers, and I just layered them up so that you have different layers of the border, providing different depths. I did try and use sparse amounts of that reddy orange and sparse amounts of that darker teal, because they are darker and they create too much weight if you use too much of them, just as they're scattered throughout the pattern paper from Jen Hadfield. So again, I'm looking for different heights, weights, and widths, and I'm going to intersperse them throughout the layout. I had toyed with the idea of stitching a black stitch across the very top edge and then the very bottom edge, again, just for a different layer of texture to the layout, but it's busy as it is, and I decided that I didn't need to do that. So this is a great way of using up your stash. And again, this is my challenge, or this is Christina's challenge, and this is my interpretation of her challenge, Long Distance Love, to scrapbook a virtual friendship or virtual friendships, plural. And so be sure to check out the Rediscover Your Stash Facebook page. And if you play along, we would love for you to play along. Christina has a prize, and there are folders or albums over there where you can upload that and be eligible to win Christina's prize. Again, this is part of Crafting at a Distance. Christina, Sara, and I have joined together, and we've created some challenges for you to keep you busy while you're home practicing some social distancing during this lovely pandemic that we are experiencing. And we figured there would be lots of people home with some time to get some extra crafting done. And these are ways of just maybe documenting some of your experiences, a way to spur on some creative juices, and so that's why we came up with this. Currently there are 3 challenges. I do have a 4th one that I am going to throw out there. I think next week is the idea, and we would love for you to play along. Prizes are open for, or your crafting is open until the end of March, at which time we will draw randomly a prize each. So what I've done here is I've framed each of the photos. I did not print these photos with a white border, so I've just gone ahead and done that with some white cardstock. And I'm going to cut apart this particular part of the cut file. I want to, it looks like wings the way that it is there, and so I don't want it to have such a defined wing look, and I want it to be a little bit more random. And so by cutting it apart, I'm able to rearrange the pieces to fit more of my structure rather than the pre-cut structure there. And that's the beauty of being able to do that. Also, just as a side note, I did use scraps to cut this as well. This is some really old studio calico. It actually has stars scattered throughout it. But I liked the way that the green complemented the green leaves that are in the layout that I did not actually use any of. I fussy cut around those. That flower is not full, and so I want to tuck it behind and create a few more layers. And I feel like I need some black in this layout. That photo of Camille is pretty dark, and so I am going to go in later with a little bit of black mist, as well as I'm going to fussy cut some of the butterflies that are in this to just add some weight to the layout here. I am going to fussy cut this flower, and I believe an orange one. I wanted to pull a little bit more of the color of the flowers into the layout, and so I am able to do that because I have lots of flowers that I can cut out. So I'm going to fast forward through a lot of the fussy cutting because we all know how to do that. These are old Studio Calico stickers going way back in my stash. I have the state of New Hampshire because that's where Camille lives, and I have the state of Virginia because that's where I live. And I am trying to use up stash, just using this one piece of Jen Hadfield that's new to sort of freshen things up here. I don't like the way that that leaf is over the fussy cut leaf that's black outlined. I don't like the way that it's overlapping and blocking that green, so I will cut that off. I decided I also wanted a little bit more color around the photos, and so I'm going to use the back side of this floral and just cut out a small thin border and see how that pops the photos amongst all of the color that's at the top and the bottom there. I really like that. It's such a simple thing, but it really did add a little bit of variety to that. So while I was looking for the next color, the stripes that I was going to back Camille with. I found this other flower, and that was the orange, which pulled in another color. I also like the way that it created a little bit more of a floral overlap and added more of that floral bouquet that we are sitting in or nestled in. So I'm going to tuck that in, and actually there is a green leaf that's there. One of the leaves is not complete, and so I was able to cover that up. Those of you who follow my scrapping and know my style know that I like to have dimension and texture. Not all of those leaves are fully adhered. They can kind of, I'm going to call it flop around, but they're loose, and so they can kind of curl up. And then by using some foam adhesive behind the flower and the butterflies that I've cut, it also adds to that dimension of the page. You can see to the left side there, I have some, again, things that I've pulled from my stash. These are Maggie Holmes labels and word stickers. I am going to use the word stickers off camera. If you follow my videos, you'll also know that I do I won't say a lot, but I do add small little details off camera. So I'm going to use the word stickers, and I'm going to tuck them into the two butterflies. One says Life Collected, and the other says Things to Remember. So I have the labels here, and my original intent was to stick them on either side of the photo, but they look funny, and I had thought by sticking them on either side of the photo that I would write Camille's name and my name, because who knows if I will remember 10 years from now who that is. And I have not journaled on the layout. You will see that. I am not one to put a lot of journaling but I do want to journal about this story. I just think I'm going to do it on the back of the page. So there are the butterflies that are popped up, and I do a lot of shuffling on this layout because the weight of those states looks funny, and I'm going to rearrange those. And I know I want these labels, but I like the way that the labels interspersed amongst the notebook punches look, and so I'm going to intersperse them there. I referenced earlier how I was going to do that. I was going to cut out that leaf. So this is how I'm going to get the labels in there. So I have to recut the edges of these labels that are overlapping the edges. That one that I'm going to leave there, I don't like. It's kind of this eyesore in the middle of the page, so I will take that out and just stick it back on later. Something else that I do off camera. So I am going to, on camera, you'll see that coming up in a little bit, use some mist and just some black shimmers with a little bit of shimmer to it, and I'm going to scatter a little bit of black around. It adds a organic feel to the page that I really like. Unfortunately, I smudged one of the pieces, I smudged some of the mist, and so I'm going to find a sticker to cover that up with. So these are, again, from my stash. These are from Pebbles. This is foam, and it says friends, and I want to use virtual because we are virtual friends, hopefully to become in life friends. I would love to meet Camille one day. I'm really looking forward to that day, and I'm not worried about it. I know that it will happen. It's just a matter of when God's timing is for that to happen. And then I'm going to, again, from my stash, pull out some Bella Boulevard, really old Bella Boulevard letter stickers, and put virtual above that. And I love the way that that pulls a little bit of that brighter teal into the layout and lightens up the dark of friends there. And here we go with the Suzanna title shuffle. Well known for that. I can never get the spacing of these things right. And so letters always get shuffled around. So that will wrap up the bulk of the layout. Now I'm just going to go in and do some smaller details. This is the shimmers that I was referring to earlier, and in a minute my cat is going to pop up. I apologize. She hopped up on the table, and there was no getting rid of her. We are home practicing our social distancing, and she is not sure what to make of all of this. So this is some really old stickers from Simple Stories. There's some florals that I put in there. Again, just a couple of organic things to scatter across the page. I am going to move the states and I'm going to put them next to each of the photos. I like the way that these black stars create a visual triangle through the border, and I'm going to use the one to cover up where I smudged the mist there. And what I think I'm going to put a third star in, and here we go. And that's going to create that visual triangle. Sorry for the cattail over there. At least she moved off of the center of the page. So we look forward to seeing what it is that you create for Khristina's Long Distance Love channel. Enjoy these close-ups. Thanks for stopping in today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. If you want to know where to go, I'll leave that in the box down below. Enjoy the close-ups. Thanks for stopping in today. Hope you're doing well. Take care.